Hi, Chris. First, what did you make of that game and that performance?
Been sat in this position before.
We have, yeah.
And possibly going to say exactly the same things that I've said over, especially the last 8 weeks, really. Said before in my presser, there's certain things in the game from a game point of view. From a stats point of view, I think we're 14th. The bit in the middle. For the last 2 months, but obviously season lasts a little bit longer than that. But recently, for the last 2 months or so, been 14th. So that means that we've not taken chances and any opportunity that teams get to punish us and put us to bed. They've done that, and I've got to say the first half an hour absolutely summed our season up. And then off the back of that, what happened, and I suppose there was a familiarity of what happened. Great chances, first 20 minutes, better side in my opinion. And by the way, you're looking at a team that's of Spurs' magnitude and the players that they've got and the quality they've got, the position that they're in and what they're playing for wasn't a dead rubber for them. First 20-25 minutes, should be 2 up, competed really well, created some fabulous chances, and then one mistake leads to 2, to 3, to 4, and then Kulusevski finds a fabulous finish. So what the Premier League's like in terms of the finish, you're not surprised. And from what we've yet again done, 1 mistake to 2 mistakes, Jadon should do better. My right centre half goes on a run where I'm scratching my head what he's thinking. We miss a tackle, and then we don't get tight enough to Kulusevski to stop or block the shot, and then 1-0. I would say rose tinted glasses, maybe a little bit. Please give us a little bit of leeway on that. Against a run of play, we're 1-0 down, and then pin in the balloon. Really, you could see the life get sucked out of us, as if here we go again one of these days, and the group isn't strong enough from a mentality point of view to deal with disappointment, to deal with things that go against you, which they did. And I've got to say, as soon as they found the finishes, Wes kept us in the game. Got to say, up to half time, getting to half time, and you hope for a better second half than the last 20-15 minutes of the first half, but it wasn't. I've got to say, it's pretty comfortable for Spurs, and obviously a comfortable afternoon for them.
Is that the most frustrating thing for you, not just today, but this season, that so often, you've been talking about the same topics, the same failings, and lessons haven't been learnt? Yeah,
you can try and change. You can try and change that. You can talk about it. You can look at it from a stats point of view. You look at it from a visual point of view, analysis point of view. But once you get out there, you've got to show that personality. And we've not got enough personality in the team, in my opinion, to really put a team to bed. And the goals change games and change atmospheres of a game. I've got to say, atmosphere for the game was, as I would have expected it to be, really positive for a team that's, it was a beautiful day in terms of when we woke up and the sun's shining, but hasn't been a beautiful season. So, the atmosphere of the ground yet again was first class, and we used that, and we started off on the front foot. But like I said, any sort of adversity issue, second goal goes in, fabulous finish. Quickly a third goal goes in, and then I've got to say, one team tried to keep it at 3, and the other team weren't really bothered because they knew that they'd done enough. So, it is Spurs, and it is Son, and it is Kulusevski, and it is Maddison, and it is Sarr, and it is Porro and Van der Veen and Romero, and it is. I get it, but I don't know. I've just been brought up a little bit different to we are the underdog, but I never feel myself personally that we're going out there to inevitably lose a game of football, and that's something that we have to change from a physical point of view. We're miles off of it, and we have been all season. And yet again, you've seen boys go down. Yet again, we're having to make physical substitutions. We're restricted in terms of certain players can only do certain minutes. And technically not taking big moments, as we talked about, and most importantly from a mentality point of view, sort of when adversity strikes, we've not got enough to dig ourselves out of that. It is at the highest level, I get it. The league's been too strong for us right the way through the season, from the start, right the way through the first part of it, right the way through my part of it. There's been glimpses, but ultimately, league tables don't lie, and we've been off of it.
And I mean, Porro's goal in particular said a lot. You've got Arblaster throwing his way in front of a shot. You've got Foderingham making a great save. The effort's there, but it's just not enough when the third chance comes up.
Yeah, the third chance comes along, and he finds that finish, and that's the quality that he has and teams have in this league.
Obviously, you've mentioned Wes already. He sort of typified that spirit. I mean, you must be sad to see him go after a performance like that.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, but like I said, there's reasons behind all decisions as well. He's had a good period here. I get that. So there's all reasons behind every decision that we made. I'd love to have had Chris Basham available. I'd love to have George Baldock available. I'd love to have John Egan available. I've got to say, I don't think I'd have been saying the same things what I've been saying over the past period that I've been here if we had those boys in the team. So that has got to be the challenge for me to not only get good players here, because we need to have a good team from a technical point of view, and we need a coachable team as well. But from a mentality point of view, strong characters, leaders that, if one mistake happens, Baldock makes that tackle or John Egan makes that block. So decisions on everybody. Really emotional day for those three guys and the five guys as well. But as I said before, I'm looking at Southampton, I'm looking at Leeds. They've bounced back. There'll be a full house at Wembley for that final. There were fantastic scenes in midweek at Ellen Road and at St Mary's, and we have to work extremely hard for an incredibly busy summer to get ourselves in those positions that those teams have got themselves, that they're fighting at the top of the division from the off.
We obviously had the red card overturned for Andre Brooks. Any complaints about the way Spurs conducted themselves, or is that what you have to do at this level?
I think there's the dark arts of it, and nobody seems to be that bothered about it. I've got to say, I don't think it comes from the manager. I think it just comes from the individual players and the environments maybe they've been brought up in. That it just goes unnoticed, and it's a natural thing to do. You have to accept it when you're in the Premier League. Last time we were in the Premier League, it was exactly the same for the 2 years. It's not for me. Like I said, and you have a decision as well from a coach point of view. But I'm sure the manager's a great guy. I've followed his teams right the way through and followed his career and followed his work up at Celtic and even followed his work down here in London. I think he's spot on. I think he's a right straightforward guy, and I'm not sure that he's advocating that, but this is what you have to put up with and do with it. I just can't believe that the referee just made such a quick decision. Every other decision takes forever. Every other offside is let go. Today, a couple of our offsides late on, flag goes straight up. That decision, he couldn't wait. Felt as if he couldn't wait to get his red card out, and he's overturned his own decision. Absolute bonkers.
I don't think Oliver Norwood was involved in the post-match laugh appreciation. Was there any reason?
No, he was.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, was
yeah,
sorry,
I was there. Yeah, they were all there. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Got a great reception from when you came round to the Kop. I mean, you must be pleased with, that bond has not been broken. Despite
no, it's not toxic, Stu. It's not toxic. So the supporters never stopped all the way round that. Listen, I understand players, supporters go in and have, I don't think we have universal 100% commitment in this group, and maybe me as well. So I get it because of the results and performances. But I think the majority understand where we are, the season that we've had, where we are at a football club at the moment. We're not putting ourselves in a position of maybe some of the Premier League clubs have done in terms of financial difficulties, and so we're sensible in terms of what we do, and I think we will be moving forward. It's up to me to put a team together straight away. We've made decisions on players, we've made decisions on loans going back, we've made decisions on players that I think don't want to be here, which is hugely important, and players that don't take us forward. So we have to maximise their sale price and get that group together. But the support yet again, as it has been, especially over the last month away from home and even at home, has been first class. And as I said about the Leeds and Southampton situation, it's been a really poor season, but it's not a poor football club, and we have to address that. And from my point personally, I think I've said it so many times. You know, the biggest challenge that I've ever had in front of me, and bigger than, you know, playing in the first team or managing here at the start, and the most, in a daft way, determined, excited, committed than I've ever been to get it right, and stick a team that everybody can recognise, and a team that represents us how we want it to be represented.
And much as you've got to make the right decisions this summer, and you know the players have got to come back right for pre-season, I guess that support is essential if you're going to bounce back. You know, if the crowd weren't with you, you'd be a much weaker
They'll
proposition.
be all right, but you know, I always say, you know, it's up to us to set the tone, and set that off. I've got to say, I think they've set it off for the majority of the season. So I think that just shows you what they're like as a group of supporters. But for me, it's for us to light the touch paper for them by our actions and our attitude to games, our attitude through games, our attitude through a season. And if we do, you know, then we'll have new heroes of the likes of the Bashams and the Egans and the Baldocs that have carried this club, and others that have carried this club for a number of years.
No Gerbic today. Was that injury, or is that a sign that we might not see him back?
Yeah, it was a decision I made regarding Adam Davis being in. So you know, I thought he deserved just the opportunity of being part of it, and obviously I believe Wes deserved to play, and obviously he never let anybody down with his performance.
What's the overriding emotion now? Is it relief that this season is over? Obviously, there's a bit of determination you've made clear about what comes next.
Yeah, I think an overall mix of emotions in there. You know, really disappointed that we've not been able to affect it. I think we'll all have our ideas on it as well. So, and I think I'm not being too critical because we've only got the amount of points, and you know, we have to own that and accept that. But you know, I do think there's quite easily people just make assumptions straight away and not really look at how the season's gone from maybe the first day back at pre-season. So there's been difficulties right the way through the start of the season, from pre-season onwards. I think, you know, obviously you know that, and they've been well documented. I think the club have been put in a difficult position, so we have to reflect and make sure that we learn as well from this season as well. It's a team that's been put together, really. It's not a team that really, you know, it's been on the front foot from the off. I look at Luton, and they've added a couple, but really got the nucleus and the ages are right and correct. So it's a team that's, you know, had to learn in the hardest division in the world, and learn it has, hopefully. I've certainly learnt from it, but mixed emotions on a lot of things, you know. But we have to quickly move on, Stu. You know, we can't dwell. We learn and reflect pretty quickly, which we have done, and make sure we get it right, because it's a huge pre-season, and we have to have a team at the start of the pre-season that we can coach. You know, it's not a team that goes and spends, you know, like 150, 200 million, 250 million pounds and puts their club in financial difficulties like certain clubs have done, and just says, manager just sits back in the dugout and just says, well, I'll tell you what, crack on, boys. You know, I've got a good team there. We're a team that has been heavily coached through the period that I've been here, and it needs to be heavily coached. So we have to get players in pretty quickly to coach them on the pitch just as much as off the pitch, just as much as on the pitch as well, and hopefully get that right.
You've done it once before, but you'll have wanted this season to end differently.
Yeah.
I get that. But is this an opportunity for you now to really stamp your mark on the club once again?
100%, absolutely. You know, and listen, it goes on a different direction. I get it, but yeah, and I like to think I've got form and I've got previous. And I like to think that people will trust me. I get that feeling, I get that belief in myself and the coaches, and I understand that there might be a few people that don't have that same optimism and belief. But the only way you can sort that out is by what you do and how you act, and answer all those critics and answer all those questions in terms of what you that's okay, it's all right. And what you put out on that pitch, and then everybody can have their opinion on it.
I know it's as well. I mean, she made those comments about the mentality, and I think most people would probably agree with that. But when he came off, I noticed you went out your way to give Ben Britt and Diaz a hug as well. He has been a sign of a player who's come in, but
I just don't think you can comp punters, and you can't, Bogle don't get stick, Blaster don't get stick, Aimer don't get stick, Berent Diaz don't get stick, So for me, that there it is. They've been at it, and we needed more, and we haven't had enough. We haven't had enough of those, and if we'd have had a few more, then might have made it interesting. If we'd had a few more, then we might have made it interesting too. So a lot of hard work to go into it. As I said, physically miles off of it. Injuries have smashed us all season. There'll be announcement next week in terms of that department as well. In terms of somebody coming in to oversee everything as well to make that better. Recruitment, obviously, we've talked about. So there's a lot of moving parts to make us better and ready for a really challenging, tough season, but one that we should really look forward to.